I'll start with very like key points first. First, at the 20th Party Congress itself, with the composition of the Politburo Standing Committee, Politburo, and CC, we like we knew. I mean, I called it Xi and his army. So it's Xi and Xi's army. Basically, it were all his loyalists. And in this session also, NPC session, it was actually stamped that all his loyalists were actually, made state councillors. The NPC, of course, approved the following loyalists nominated by Xi Jinping as new members of PRC State Council. In उसमें Premier Li Qiang, उसमें Ting Shuixiang, जो अब उनके सक्सेसर सबसे मतलब पुराने जैसे कहते हैं ना उनके साथी ये हैं तिंग शुएशियांग, जिनको अब शी जिनपिंग का बेसिकली सक्सेसर भी कई लोग कह रहे हैं, तो इन्हें भी स्टेट काउंसलर बना दिया गया. ह ली फंग, चांग कोचिंग, देन ली कोचुंग, इन सबको बना दिया गया है. और भी हैं, मतलब मैं चाहती नहीं कि सबका मैं एक एक करके नाम लूं, बट इम्पोर्टेंट इनमें से अभी जनरल ली शांगफू जो आए हुए हैं इंडिया, who's the defense minister, he's also been made a state councillor. वांग शियाओहुंग जो मिनिस्टर हैं अभी पब्लिक सिक्योरिटी के, उनको भी स्टेट काउंसलर बना दिया गया है. तो ये काफी, एंड छिंग कांग फॉरेन मिनिस्टर, वो भी अभी इंडिया आए थे रिसेंटली, उन्हें भी बना दिया गया है. तो ये उनके लॉयलिस्ट जो हैं सबको फाइनली मतलब एनपीसी का स्टैंप लग के एंड दे हैव बिकम स्टेट काउंसलर.
एक मिनट जी, आपने एक बहुत अच्छी बात बोला, लॉयल्टी. इनके लॉयलिस्ट बन गए स्टेट काउंसलर. क्या इनके अंदर एक्सपीरियंस है, ये भी थोड़ा बाद में बताइएगा.
ठीक है सर, बिकॉज धीरे धीरे हम उसी पे आएंगे भी, क्योंकि की अपॉइंटमेंट्स जो है उसमें से मुझे ऐसा लगता है एक है फॉर्मर शंघाई पार्टी सेक्रेटरी एंड शी जिनपिंग के लॉन्ग टाइम एसोसिएट ली छियांग, उनको प्रीमियर बना दिया गया है, मतलब प्राइम मिनिस्टर बना दिया गया है. और उनकी जब वोटिंग हो रही थी तो शी जिनपिंग का जब वोट हुआ था कि उनको प्रेसिडेंट बनाया जाए तीसरी बार या नहीं, एनपीसी का ऑफ कोर्स फॉर्मेलिटी थी, पर हुई थी वोटिंग, तो यूनानिमस डिसीजन था. लेकिन जब ली छियांग के लिए वोटिंग हुई थी, 3 लोगों ने नो का वोट डाला है और 8 लोगों ने वोट नहीं किया. आई थिंक ये हमें पॉइंट नोट करना चाहिए कि शी जिनपिंग का यूनानिमस था, लेकिन ली छियांग के जो उनके सबसे उनके क्लोज लोगों में आते हैं, उनके खिलाफ ये नहीं, 8 लोगों ने वोट नहीं किया और 3 ने नो कहा. अब ये थे कौन? ये वो थे जिन्होंने जीरो कोविड पॉलिसी और लॉकडाउन लगा दिया था शंघाई में 3 महीने के लिए, एंड बहुत ज्यादा डिसकंटेंट था इनके खिलाफ. Many people were saying at that point of time whether he'll be promoted or not, but Xi Jinping didn't care for that because he's a loyalist. एंड इवन दो ही फेल्ड, क्योंकि आपने कहा कि ये बताना जरूरी है कि ये केपेबल हैं या नहीं, even though he failed in getting, because Shanghai में the kind of unrest that happened during the lockdown, despite that he was made the premier. Then Chao Lechi बहुत क्लोज फ्रेंड हैं शी जिनपिंग के और उनकी प्रोटेजी हैं बेसिकली, उनको भी एनपीसी चेयरमैन बना दिया गया. And then 2 other key appointments which showed that national security remains a high priority for Chinese leadership. ये बहुत important है because हम लोग ये नहीं समझते हैं कि चाइना जितना अपनी पीएलए पे खर्चता है, इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी पे ज्यादा करता है. करेक्ट.
तो और ये जो एनपीसी में भी उनका अलॉटमेंट ज्यादा हुआ है, nearly 7% from old this thing, right?
Yes sir.
Yeah, that's very important.
Yes, sir. Because it shows that they are more worried about revolts inside China. That means there is discontent. Everything is not so smooth as, when you read actually Chinese language papers or you read the media, you feel as if, there is no problem, but there are issues. Now, because I was talking about Chao Lechi. So 2 other important appointments that I wanted to talk about was the Minister of Public Security, Wang Xiaohong, and as a member of powerful CC, because चाइना में एक होता है सेंट्रल कमेटी जिसमें जैसे 204 मेंबर्स हैं, फिर उसमें से लिया जाता है 24 पॉलिट ब्यूरो. उसमें पॉलिट ब्यूरो होता है, उसमें यूजुअली 20 तो पहले 25 होते थे, इस बार शी जिनपिंग ने
24 कर दिया।
24 किया है। और एक होता है पॉलिट ब्यूरो स्टैंडिंग कमेटी, जैसे अगर मैं कंपेयर करना चाहूँ तो इंडिया की कैबिनेट समझ लीजिए, तो उसमें 7 लोग हैं।
कैबिनेट
तो
और ये कैबिनेट कमेटी फॉर सिक्योरिटी टाइप, कैबिनेट तो बड़ा होता, और
जैसे कि बहुत क्लोज कैबिनेट नहीं होता सर, जिसमें सिर्फ जैसे आप डिफेंस मिनिस्टर डाल
या
लीजिए।
नहीं ये या I'll give you an equivalent. The equivalent is either the cabinet committee of political affairs or the cabinet committee of security.
जी।
CCPA and CCS हमारा equivalent है, right? ये
जी।
and मैं सबको ये भी बताना चाहता हूँ, ये जो NPC is like a some kind of a combination between a Lok Sabha and and yeah, some kind of a Lok Sabha. और ये जो 2 सेशंस हुआ है, it's a combination of budget presentation, come plans presentation, come inauguration of the whole story, right?
Yes
Okay,
sir.
yeah, because not many people understand this.
Yes sir, exactly.
ये
That's
जो
why I
ये जो
put it up
the
a few things.
ये जो एनपीसी का महत्व इम्पोर्टेंट है इसीलिए, क्योंकि इट्स ऑल रोल्ड इनटू वन, and this is the time when the new ministry gets formed and is installed. And that is why when Namrata says all his loyalists have been there and हर एक का क्या, that's very important, क्योंकि politics, internal politics. Yeah,
Yes
please
sir.
go ahead.
So, and national defense budget has been increased. It's now 7.2%, and last 2 years से बढ़ा दिया गया है। उसके बाद एनपीसी ने इस बार जो एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज और हुई है, they have authorized a major restructuring of the party and government departments, and emphasis was on enhancing the party's control and making it more powerful. And ye she throughout after Xi Jinping took over, because a little background for the हमारे मतलब जो लोग सुन रहे हैं हमें उनके लिए, जब शी जिनपिंग को बेसिकली पार्टी का मैंडेट दिया गया था, उस समय पार्टी में बहुत करप्शन, और वो पोशिलाई का जो इवेंट हुआ था, बिकॉज पोशिलाई वाज एक बहुत ही पावरफुल प्रिंसलिंग थे जो पॉलिट ब्यूरो स्टैंडिंग कमेटी के लिए बिड कर रहे थे, और उसके लिए उन्होंने बहुत, जिसे कहते हैं अपना वो पोजीशन पाने के लिए उन्होंने बहुत करप्शन किया था। और जब पोशिलाई को हटाया गया, तो जितने जब मैंडेट दिया गया शी जिनपिंग को, तो उनको ये बोला गया था यू हैव टू क्लीन द पार्टी। बट शी जिनपिंग व्हाट ही डिड व्हेन ही केम, ही शुक ऑल द डिपार्टमेंट्स, मतलब उन्होंने पीएलए में रिफॉर्म्स करने शुरू कर दिए, पार्टी को हिला दिया, गवर्नमेंट के सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को हिला दिया, और एक रेक्टिफिकेशन कैंपेन स्टार्ट किया, जिसमें ये नहीं था कि सिर्फ करप्ट लोगों को हटाया गया, पर उन लोगों को भी हटाया गया जो शी जिनपिंग के ऑपोजिशन में ऑपोजिशन में थे। तो ये भी एक इम्पोर्टेंट है। तो ये जो इस बार जो इन्होंने ये मेजर रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग करी है, उसमें उन्होंने बेसिकली पार्टी को और ज्यादा मजबूत कर दिया और पावरफुल कर दिया है। The restructuring confirmed the Chinese leadership's 3 top priorities for the next 5 years. अगले 5 साल के लिए उनकी 3 जो टॉप प्रायोरिटीज है वो है नेशनल सिक्योरिटी, इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट एंड सेल्फ सफिशिएंसी इन एग्रीकल्चर। ठीक है, और बजट फॉर सिक्योरिटी, नेशनल डिफेंस, साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, एग्रीकल्चर ऑल हैव इंक्रीज्ड। ये जो बेसिक हेड्स के नीचे इंक्रीज किया गया। एंड साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी भी हमें पता है कि वो क्यों यूज करी जा रही है, ऑफ कोर्स फॉर पीएलए, उसको भी पीएलए को इनहांस करने के लिए, बिकॉज जितना भी एआई में डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, एरोस्पेस में हो रहा है, हर चीज में, दे आर अप्लाइंग दैट टू मिलिट्री, तो वो है, वो किया जा रहा है। अब मतलब इसमें काफी डिटेल्स हैं, पर मैं ज्यादा डिटेल्स में नहीं जाऊंगी। अगर आप जानना चाहेंगे कि रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग कैसी हो रही है तो मैं शायद बाद में बता दूंगी।
नहीं, एक चीज आपने जो बताया है वो थोड़ा क्लैरिफाई कीजिए
जी।
देखिए, वी ऑल नो इकोनॉमिक्स के ऊपर स्ट्रेस होगा, because that's the Chinese way of looking at it. They've always given a lot of importance to GDP, comprehensive national power वगैरह। सिक्योरिटी के बारे में तो इन द 20th पार्टी कांग्रेस और एनपीसी दोनों में सिक्योरिटी के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा जोर था, ये तो सबको पता ही है। जो ज्यादातर लोगों को नहीं पता, ये एग्रीकल्चर, व्हाई द स्ट्रेस ऑन एग्रीकल्चर, ये 2 मिनट आप बताइए, फिर आगे चलेंगे।
So people who are following Chinese language media and whatever reports that are coming in, for at least the last, if I can, maybe before COVID also, it started before COVID, we have seen reports that the Chinese are very worried about their food security. That means there are issues in agriculture. You see, there have been many pointers here because Xi Jinping very strictly he put forward this that there'll be no wastage of food. So in restaurants also, if you actually waste food, you'll be fined. बैंक्वेट्स वगैरह सबको बहुत मिनिमाइज कर दिया है. पहले जैसे मान लीजिए अगर आपको चाइना विजिट करने बुलाया, एक डेलीगेशन गया है इंडिया से, वाइन होगा, इतना खाना होगा. चाइनीज कल्चर भी है, जब तक ये लोग खाना वेस्ट नहीं करेंगे ना, इनको लगता है कि हमारी बेइज्जती हो जाएगी गेस्ट के सामने अगर खाना बचेगा नहीं. So can you imagine that when we went to China, I think before COVID, just before COVID, I think 2019, there was no wine served. The food was also, the banquet was not so lavish. Okay. So we were very surprised because when we used to go, it was very different. So they told us that, probably we'll just get one bottle because we have foreigners. So maybe for you, because of you, we will also get a little bit. Otherwise, now everything has been restricted. तो ये सब तभी किया जाता है जब कोई क्राइसिस हो, ऑलरेडी हो, या फ्यूचर में आपको लग रहा है कि ये क्राइसिस होने वाली है. तो इस बार स्ट्रेस एग्रीकल्चर पे भी दिया गया है. एंड दिस इज वन ऑफ द रीजंस आई फील दैट चाइना इज going through a food crisis, or they know that they are going to go through a food crisis. So this is one.
जो आप बोल रहे हो, I just want to add on. मैंने भी देखा है पिछले 3 साल में हर दूसरा तीसरा महीने में Xi Jinping का बोलबाला आ जाता है, one statement or somewhere he says food technology, seed technology, all scientists should go after seed technology and make the nation food secure. That is because they don't even have seeds to grow their own cereals, corn, rice, jo bhi hai. Okay. And they are import dependent on many of their food items. So that is why that thing on food security. And what you said is also right. I'll explain it a little through the issue of climate change. अगर आप देखोगे पिछले 3-4 साल में they have either had excessive floods or excessive droughts. And even this year they have said that the northern rivers are going to go dry faster. So there is a problem of food and that might become critical. And in China, famines are historic. Dynasties have changed because of famines and droughts. So that worry is there. That is why, what you have said is very, very, very important, agriculture. And that is why the stress on agriculture. Right? Yes. Sorry for interruption. Please carry on.
Then, because you mentioned security and development, I think the report, kept the spotlight on security and development. And its emphasis on the unpredictable and grim difficulties that lie ahead of China for China is significant. I think this is something that is very important. And because when the report, when Premier Li Keqiang, he was actually reading it, he warned that there are these words, that I will say, black swan and gray rhinoceros, they are used in, if I can say, the CCP literature, calling out, people within China who are trying to, harm the party. Okay. So he also said the same thing which Xi Jinping had said few months back, that that we have to be prepared because probability of black swan or gray rhinoceros events are going to happen. And China has to gear up for rough seas and even has to prepare for rough seas and even rougher seas in the future. Yeah. So that is why emphasis was there on security and development. So these tell you two things. They are also not only worried about internal, but they're also worried about the external environment that the Chinese are facing. Then, of course, GDP was the report said that the GDP is around 5%, CPI around 3%, deficit to GDP is -3%. All these things, of course, were there. And in fact, the new Chinese premier, Li Qiang, he was also very cautious on economy, and he played down the 5% GDP growth, saying achieving it would be difficult as the base was high. Okay.
So actually, the base is low.
Yeah. So
Actually, the base is low. Yeah.
yeah. So all these things, I wanted to point out. Then finally, that what they said the government has to deliver, and they have to deliver that under the strong leadership of the party central committee, that's CC that I mentioned, that has 204 members, and comrade Xi Jinping as its core. And they have, what they have to do, the first thing they have to do is follow the guidance of Xi Jinping's thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, implement the guiding principles from the 20th Party Congress, then solid progress in advancing Chinese modernization, then ensure development and security, deepen reform and opening in all respects. They also basically said that they have to promote high quality development and respond to COVID-19 and pursue economic and social development. So in nutshell, this is they have to ensure that there's a stable growth, employment, prices. They talked about everything. The situation of Chinese economy right now is so bad, though they have said the right things, but the condition is so bad that unemployment is at a high, all-time high.
Yeah.
And like I said, of course, they promised as usual that they're going to generate 12 million new urban jobs. And a lot of promises were there, a lot of positives were said, but we also focused on many things that happened at the NPC. So I think
You know what? I have one observation, which I thought
hmm,
I'll share with you. I also followed the NPC very closely.
hmm, hmm,
और मेरे को ये लगा कि इन्होंने सब बोल तो सही बोला कि ग्रोथ होना चाहिए, साइंस एंड
hmm,
टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़ना चाहिए, ये वो, पर इसमें कोई प्लान नहीं था.
hmm,
ये नॉर्मल जो पिछले, अगर आप एनपीसी का रिपोर्ट देखोगे और उसके पिछले का एनपीसी का रिपोर्ट देखोगे, तो इन सब चीजों का प्लान होता है, राइट? और इस बार का जो एनपीसी का जो रिपोर्ट ली कीचियांग ने पढ़ा, उसमें 80% was on more on achievements of the past, and 20% was on what they have to achieve, and almost 0% on how to achieve it. Right. True. And उसके बाद जो इनका फॉरेन मिनिस्टर और ली कीचियांग और लिन कीयांग और ये जो जितने भी इन्होंने, इनके डिफेंस मिनिस्टर और प्रीमियर, इन्होंने जो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस वगैरह दिया है, उसमें भी मैंने देखा है कि सबने बोला कि ये करना है, पर कैसे करना है, हाउ टू डू इट, इसमें इन्होंने नहीं बताया. और आज तक, अभी मार्च में हुआ है वो एनपीसी 2 सेशंस, और अभी तक मैंने कोई रास्ता नहीं देखा कि व्हाट हाउ दे विल अचीव इट. जैसे मान लो अभी फॉर एग्जांपल हमारे देश में हम सोचते हैं कि भाई आत्मनिर्भरता होना चाहिए, सेल्फ सफिशिएंसी, आत्मनिर्भरता. मोदी जी ने क्लियर बता दिया आत्मनिर्भरता में ये होना चाहिए. ओके. और पॉवर्टी एलिवेशन और सबके, ठीक है, सबको जनधन अकाउंट खोलो और गैस सिलेंडर दो, ये सब है ना, हमारा कोई तरीका है. उसमें तरीका मैंने देखा नहीं. उसके ऊपर थोड़ा बताइए, फिर देन यू कैन.
आई थिंक ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट आपने रेज किया है. आई थिंक यहाँ पे मैं इसलिए ये भी कहूंगी कि जैसे मैंने अभी कहा, सीसी मेंबर्स हैं, जितने भी सीसी मेंबर्स हैं 204, उसमें 60% ना नॉर्थ से हैं. नाउ इन चाइना द economic development started from the east, right? And they are the provinces that generate or contribute maximum to the GDP. Usually CC members or China, after Deng Xiaoping, like when he started the liberalization, they would always focus on economy. That was their strength. This time 60% people are from north. So there are hardly, if you look at CC very closely, the 204 members, I would say other than maybe one or two, there's no one who's experienced in economy. Like Premier Li Keqiang, who was an experienced economist, in the Politburo Standing Committee, in the Politburo, in the CC, when there's no person. So, that path is not defined. And this is my personal observation. I feel that Xi Jinping really doesn't care about the economy. Because I thought that whatever has happened, COVID, the lockdowns, the backlash that the party has faced, Xi Jinping became, in fact, the first president who's been named and criticized in China, not only by academicians, by scholars, by princelings themselves, by like almost all stratas of society. But still, I don't find any focus on economy, neither during the 20th Party Congress speech nor during the NPC thing. So I feel because they hardly have people who can, talk about economy, and also Xi Jinping is more focused on absolute control, getting his loyalist in, that he did not see, like he paid attention on getting technocrats in the CC. Many of them are aerospace engineers, many of them are from other fields, that he has paid attention, but he has not paid attention to economy. So
So
I
that
think that is
what
one
you're
of the.
saying is that you know it could be a case. It could be. We don't know. All right.
Hmm,
It could be a case of a square peg in a round hole. A chap who's a technocrat might not have the political wherewithal. If he's got a technocrat, he doesn't have the wherewithal to be in that particular
hmm,
ministry,
hmm,
right? Though, and it's also so. This is something which we'll have to watch out.
hmm.
We don't know what's going to be the outcome, but we have to watch out.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. So I think this is what, in a nutshell, I would say about NPC. That this
Okay.
is what happened, this is what discussed, and this is what the outcome is basically. It's
Okay.
going to have a huge impact because next 5 years they're going to work according to what they discussed in NPC.
Right. I see General Narasimhan is also on this thing. He's put a point, and welcome, General Narasimhan. Your thing is, he says one needs to wait for the third plenum, right? So, what is this third plenum, and when is it likely to occur? Or you have some idea, if you could tell.
I mean, wait for like in the sense what we were discussing about economy and stuff like that, or
So, yeah, yeah. Generally, I mean, I think third plenum must be some kind of a review which will happen after the two sessions,
yes,
right?
yes, that will
And
happen. But okay,
right. So that
yeah,
we might have to wait before we pronounce a judgment. That I'm completely. But
hmm,
we have today हम देख रहे हैं सिर्फ कि भाई इनके जो मंत्रिमंडल में if I may say so inexperience है, राइट? और
hmm,
टेक्नोक्रेट्स के ऊपर ज्यादा जोर है,
hmm,
लॉयल्टी के ऊपर ज्यादा जोर है। यहां
hmm.
तक किसी ने बताया कि भाई जी जिनपिंग ने अपने पीए को बना दिया मिनिस्टर, ये भी है, राइट? हंसी मजाक में या सच्चाई मेरे को नहीं पता, क्योंकि मेरे को ये नहीं पता कि कौन है, किसके बारे में बात हो रहा है। सो
Hmm.
देर आर issues, and this is something will end. Having an inexperienced cabinet, if I may say, at a time when there are a lot of crises involved, we'll have to watch how things go. We'll not make a pronouncement, but we'll watch, right? Yeah. So
We are not making any pronouncements, sir.
yeah,
Whatever we are discussing right now is what we
is
have seen in the 20th Party Congress, what they
correct.
have said in NPC. We might be wrong in
Yeah,
saying, but at
yeah, yeah.
least, when the 20th Party Congress was about to happen, we were very clear that, people were saying, like I said, Li Qiang will not be there because
Uh,
Shanghai debacle is there. This is, this has been done. But
but
look at the composition of Politburo Standing Committee and Politburo itself. There are so many members who have been helicoptered, like General
yeah,
He Wei. Now, General He Wei Tung was not part of the 19th Central Committee. He's been helicoptered by Xi Jinping directly into Politburo, right?
yeah, yeah,
He's not the only one. So we also have to understand that whatever we are speaking on, yes, we can wait for the third plenum and we can wait for that. But my point is that when Xi Jinping was talking at the 20th Party Congress, when they, we've, studied the reports and everything, analyzed, NPC happened, this is what they discussed. Because, like I said, the focus economy used to be a focus, but I don't see that this time.
yeah. I agree with you completely. In
I see
fact,
more emphasis on security.
I if I put it, that's something I'm going to analyze down the line. I
Hmm.
think from economy, because the economy is in problems, they've shifted to military, diplomacy, and technology, right? military, diplomacy and technology. This is